In a quiet living room, where sunlight kissed the soft brown couch gently, a baby slept soundly, wrapped not in a blanket, but in a dog's worn paws. The gentle giant held the child close, his eyes calm but strangely alert. To anyone watching, it looked like love, pure, loyal, and unshakable. But the father standing nearby felt something deeper stirring inside him. Every time he tried to move the baby, the dog tightened his embrace. There was no growl, no bark, only a silent promise in the animal's gaze. It wasn't defiance, it was protection, fierce, quiet, and full of heart. The baby cooed softly, unaware of the storm of fear in his father's chest. Why wouldn't the dog let go? What danger could be hiding in this peace? The man's heart raced, torn between trust and confusion. This dog had been loyal for years, never once showing aggression. But today, something was different, something the father couldn't see. The air felt heavier, the silence sharper, the moment almost sacred. The dog's breathing was steady, his body still, his gaze fixed on the child. It wasn't just a cuddle, it was a shield between innocence and unseen harm. The father took a step forward, the dog's paw pressed tighter on the baby. Then suddenly, a sound from under the couch froze him where he stood. And in that single heartbeat, the truth began to unfold. A truth that would change how he saw his best friend, forever. The room was silent except for the ticking of the wall clock. The father's hands trembled as he watched his child and the dog. Something about the dog's posture felt strange, almost deliberate. He had never seen him hold the baby so tightly before. Each second stretched like an eternity in that still room. The baby's soft breathing calmed him, but only a little. He took one cautious step closer, whispering the dog's name. The dog didn't move, didn't even blink, eyes locked on the baby. The man's voice cracked with both love and fear. He had trusted this animal more than most humans. But why was his loyal friend acting like this now? Was it instinct? Was it fear? Or was it something else entirely? The father's heart pounded louder than the clock on the wall. He reached forward slowly, afraid to startle the gentle giant. The dog gave a soft whimper, not of anger, but of warning. Something inside that sound made the man freeze in place. It wasn't a threat, it was a plea. A plea to stop, to wait, to listen. He looked into the dog's eyes and saw pure emotion. Love, fear, protection, desperation. He didn't understand yet, but he soon would, because under that couch, something was waiting. Something neither of them had expected. And the reason for the dog's strange behavior was about to be revealed. The truth lay only a heartbeat away. A faint rustle echoed from the shadows under the couch. The man froze, his eyes darting toward the source. The dog's ears twitched, his body stiffened protectively. The baby stirred, sensing the tension in the air. Another sound followed, sharper, quicker, almost alive. It wasn't the creak of furniture, it was movement. The father's breath caught as realization crept in. Something was under there, something that shouldn't be. He bent down slowly, careful not to alarm the dog. But the dog pressed his paw tighter on the baby again. A low, trembling growl rumbled from his chest. Not a growl of threat, but of warning. The father hesitated, torn between curiosity and fear. What could make his gentle dog act like a guard? He grabbed a flashlight from the table, his fingers shaking. He shone the light beneath the couch and gasped. Two tiny glowing eyes stared back at him from the darkness. The father stumbled backward, heart racing. The dog didn't move, he just watched. Then came a hiss, a soft, sinister hiss. It wasn't a rat, it wasn't harmless. The dog stood now, muscles tense, ready to strike. The father realized in horror what was hiding there. A venomous snake, coiled and ready to strike. And the baby was inches away. Time stopped in that breathless room. The father couldn't move. Fear chained him in place. The dog's instincts had already taken control. He stepped in front of the baby, his body forming a wall. The snake slithered forward, fangs glinting under the light. The baby giggled, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. The father shouted, but the sound barely escaped his lips. The dog growled again, deep and protective. Every hair on his back stood like a warning flame. The snake's tongue flickered, testing the air. Then, in one terrifying instant, it struck. The father screamed, but the dog moved faster. With lightning speed, the dog lunged forward. A blur of fur, muscle, and courage filled the space. The snake recoiled, caught between its target and the hero. The dog's jaws closed around it, one fierce bite. A struggle followed, fierce and silent. The couch shook as the battle unfolded beneath it. The baby began to cry. The father fell to his knees. Seconds felt like years as the chaos ended suddenly. When it was over, the dog emerged slowly. Wounded, breathing hard, the victorious. The snake lay still. The danger was gone, but the price had been high. The father rushed forward, tears already blurring his vision. He pulled the dog gently away from the couch. Blood marked the floor, bright, painful, and real. The dog's eyes met his master's, calm yet fading. He had done his duty. He had saved the child. The father's voice broke as he whispered his name. The dog wagged his tail weakly, one last gesture of love. He looked at the baby, who now reached for him, crying softly. The sight shattered the father's heart completely. He realized that this wasn't just an animal, it was family. The true guardian of his home. He pressed his hand against the wound, desperate to save him. "Hold on, boy. Please hold on," he whispered. But the dog just rested his head on the baby's tiny arm. His breathing slowed, his eyes closing peacefully. The room filled with silence once again. But this time, it wasn't fear. It was heartbreak. The father felt something inside him break. Love and loss tangled together in that still moment. The baby's cries softened into a whimper, sensing goodbye. The hero who saved her was slipping away. A single tear rolled down the dog's face, or maybe it was rain. Outside, thunder echoed like the world weeping with them. And then, stillness. The bravest heart had stopped. He sat there for hours, unable to move. His best friend lay lifeless in his arms. The baby slept again, safely, unaware of the sacrifice. The father whispered through his tears, voice trembling. "I thought you were protecting from me, not from me." Every moment of misunderstanding replayed in his mind. He remembered the days they spent together, the loyalty, the trust. How the dog waited by the door every night until he came home. How he wagged his tail even when scolded unfairly. He realized too late that love doesn't always look gentle. Sometimes it looks fierce. Sometimes it looks stubborn. Sometimes it means holding on when no one understands why. He buried his face in the dog's fur, sobbing quietly. The baby's tiny hand reached out and touched his cheek. In that touch, he felt both comfort and forgiveness. He promised he would never forget this moment. Never forget this loyalty, this love beyond words. He wrapped the dog in a soft white blanket, like a hero's robe. And for the first time in years, he prayed. Prayed not for wealth, not for power, but for peace. For the soul of a friend who gave everything. He looked toward the heavens and whispered, "You didn't just guard my child, you guarded my heart." Outside, the sun broke through the clouds, and a gentle light filled the room once more. Morning sunlight touched the room like a soft farewell. The father gently placed the dog on his favorite blanket. Beside it, he set the baby's tiny toy, a memory of their bond. The air smelled of rain and loss, heavy but sacred. Neighbors gathered silently, sensing the weight of the moment. The baby reached for the motionless friend, babbling softly. No one had the heart to pull her away. The father knelt, whispering words only the dog could hear. "Thank you for saving what I love most." The tear slid down his cheek, falling onto the dog's paw. He promised to keep his memory alive in every heartbeat, to tell his daughter one day about the guardian who saved her. He gently carried him outside, where flowers swayed in the breeze. The world was quiet, as if nature itself was paying respect. He buried his friend under the oak tree where they once played. Birds perched above, singing a soft, mournful tune. The father stood there for a long time, lost between grief and gratitude. In the soil, he laid not just a body, but a piece of his own heart. The baby in her mother's arms smiled through her tears. It was as if she knew her angel had found peace. That night, the father looked out the window toward the tree. A single ray of moonlight glowed upon it, like a blessing. He whispered into the quiet, "Goodbye, my brave boy." And somehow he felt the warmth of fur brush past his leg. He wasn't gone, just watching from somewhere beyond. Days passed, but the silence in the house grew louder. No soft footsteps followed the father anymore. No bark greeted him when he came home late. The baby still crawled toward the empty couch. She searched the cushions, expecting her friend's warmth. Sometimes she would giggle at nothing, as if she still saw him. The father couldn't bear to sit in that spot. Every corner held a memory that made his chest ache. He thought about how easily he could have misunderstood. How close he came to losing both the baby and the dog. The thought tore through him like a knife. Love had been right before him, disguised as disobedience. He learned that not all protection looks peaceful. Sometimes love must stand firm, even when it's not understood. He watched his daughter play by the window, smiling softly. She looked up, pointed outside, and laughed. "Dottie," she said, her voice clear as day. The father froze, staring where she pointed. Through the glass, a faint shape glowed near the tree. He blinked. It was gone. Tears filled his eyes, but his lips formed a small smile. He whispered, "I see you too, boy." The house wasn't empty anymore. It was full of love that never left. Just invisible, but forever present. Months later, the baby began to walk. Each step she took felt like a tribute to her guardian. The father watched her, remembering the day everything changed. The bond between them had grown stronger than ever. Every time she stumbled, she looked toward the old oak tree, as if expecting her friend to help her up again. The father would lift her, smile, and say softly, "He's still watching, sweetheart." Love, he realized, doesn't end. It just transforms. It lives in laughter, in memory, in quiet moments. He began volunteering at an animal shelter. Each dog he met reminded him of loyalty and courage. He shared his story with others, the day his dog became a hero. People cried, people smiled, but most of all, they understood. Love is not measured in years, but in moments of sacrifice. He told them how trust must sometimes come before reason, because some hearts see danger before eyes ever can. The baby would sit beside him, listening to every word, and when she saw another dog, she'd reach out with joy. Her innocence was proof that love, once given, never fades. The father knew his friend's spirit lived through her smile, and that was enough to heal the pain bit by bit. Every sunrise reminded him of that promise. A promise written in loyalty, not in words. A bond that even time couldn't break. One rainy afternoon, he heard a familiar cry outside. A stray dog stood shivering by the gate, soaked to the bone. Its eyes, tired, hungry, yet gentle, reminded him of the past. He opened the gate slowly, heart pounding. The animal hesitated, then wagged its tail weakly. The father smiled through the rain. He whispered, "You're safe now." The baby, now a little older, ran to the doorway. "Doggy home?" she said, eyes bright with excitement. The father nodded, tears blending with the rain. He wrapped the shivering creature in a towel. It leaned against his chest, trusting instantly. That night, he placed it gently on the same couch. The baby climbed up and rested beside it, just like before. The father's heart ached and healed at once. The scene felt like destiny repeating with grace. He knew his old friend would approve, because love never ends, it only finds new forms. Sometimes it comes back to remind us we're not alone. As the new dog sighed and drifted to sleep, peace filled the room. The father smiled, whispering a silent thank you to the heavens. Maybe this was his friend's final gift, another soul to love. And that night, he dreamt of the oak tree glowing softly in the rain. Two shadows played beneath it, one man, one dog. Together again, forever watching over those they loved. Years passed, the baby grew, the father aged gracefully. But the memory of that day never left their hearts. Every birthday, they visited the oak tree together. They placed flowers and whispered prayers of gratitude. The new dog would sit beside them, calm and faithful. It felt as though all their souls were connected there. The father often told the story, how love had saved his child, how one loyal heart had given everything without hesitation, and how that act had taught him the true meaning of family. People listened with tears in their eyes, moved beyond words. He would always end the story the same way. Heroes don't always walk on two legs. His daughter, now grown, still felt her guardian's presence. Sometimes when she was sad, she dreamed of soft fur and warmth, a comfort she could never explain, but always trusted. Life moved on, but love stayed, glowing quietly like starlight. The father's hair turned silver, but his heart stayed young. He often sat by the window, looking at the oak tree with a smile. Because love like that never fades, it simply changes form. The day he passed, the sky glowed golden. His daughter found him smiling peacefully in his chair. Beside him, the dog slept, head on his lap. And outside, under the oak, two shadows waited in the light. Love had brought them together once and forever after. The bond between them, eternal, unbroken, divine. In a world full of noise, some love speaks only through silence. That dog never used words, he simply understood. He saw danger before anyone else could see it. He didn't protect for praise, but out of pure devotion. Sometimes love looks like defiance, but it's really courage. Sometimes loyalty doesn't bark, it simply stands guard. The father learned too late that true guardians wear fur, not armor. That the bravest hearts often beat in the quietest chests. The dog didn't just save a baby, he saved a family's soul. He proved that love is not bound by language or reason. It's something felt, not spoken, seen, not explained. When we trust love, even when it confuses us, miracles happen. Every bond we honor becomes a light that never fades. Every act of loyalty plants a seed that grows beyond time. The father kept that lesson close for the rest of his life. And the child grew up carrying that same gentle courage. Because love, real love, always finds a way to return. Sometimes as a friend, sometimes as a memory, sometimes as hope. And every time the wind whispered through the oak leaves, it carried a message from the heavens, I'm still here.